So today we will share how IoT and data-driven cleaning redefines the cleaning industries, and looking on everything from cleaning schedule to business process to customer relationships. My name is Anna Königsson Koopmans. I work at Essity in Sweden, and I'm responsible for marketing of Tork EasyCube, which is our digital facility management software for data-driven cleaning. And this is Charlie Lagervik from Microsoft, who we've partnered up with to help us support us on our journey to becoming a leader in the digital space here.
Yes, so great to be here. I work as an IoT lead at Microsoft, covering what we call the Western Europe territory. So if you think about what this means for a producer, for the last 100 years, producer has really focused on the internal efficiency, making the internal processes as efficient as possible, and by delivering a product or a service to the end customer somewhere in the end of that process. But with this fourth industrial revolution, we see that the customer is now becoming a center point even in the internal processes. So if you are working with marketing, you need to react to signals that come from your customer. If you are in sales, you now have the opportunity to understand how are your customers using your products, and you could upsell services or understand what is creating value for your customer. And if you are a supplier, you understand what is the current need for the companies that you supply, and you could react to that much quicker. And this is really where you need to combine both your digital services with your physical world. So you can't stop designing good products, but you need to change your processes so they also cope and make a possibility of these new digital relationships that you could have with the actors around you in your value network.
You have verified from talking to your customers and monitoring the effects that these connected services have for your customers. And I think that is really evidence on that you can do better with having a deeper understanding of the data and the algorithm to help your customers achieve even more with the assets that you already have.
That is also driving a complexity because your customers are now starting to be more unique in their needs. So you need to be able to cope with the complexity of having an increased number of unique needs from your customers, and you also need to build a very close relationship with each customer one by one. And the only way you could do that is really by using IT technology. And that is where Microsoft comes into this picture, is that we provide the IT infrastructure on a global scale for companies like Essity to build that platform and realize their business value with minimum effort in developing technology and using platforms that already exist.
I think you could of course play that game and say that no, we don't think that data-driven cleaning will affect us that much, so we could always try to improve without having data points. What I think will happen is that the ones that actually embrace this will have a bigger and bigger advantage, and at some point that advantage will be too big for the ones that didn't embrace this initially. So that will mean that playing this catch-up game afterwards instead of embracing this evolution right now will separate the ones that are successful in the cleaning industry from the ones that are less successful.
The cost and effort connected to this is really quite significant. What if this could be different? What if you could actually do something about this? Another thing that we know about the cleaning industry is that it's a people business, and a people business is very much about hours. And for a cleaning company, 70 to 75% of their cost is related to labor. So what is more important than making your most important resource more productive and more efficient? And the good thing with data, of course, is that you start getting insights. And what we've seen from insights is that with traditional cleaning, we see that an average company does a lot of dispenser checks every day. And we know from data now, from 8 customers and during more than 780 days, that 89% of those dispenser checks are unnecessary. And we all know that these dispenser checks are the bread, or almost the bread and butter of every cleaning schedule. And that's a lot of time that could be spent on something a lot more value-adding than actually a waste of time. So what if you could actually also change this and spend your time and invest your time in something more value-adding and potentially also more revenue-generating?
My first thought was, wow, this is super impressive actually. It's super impressive how data can actually change an entire industry, right? So cleaning is a very conventional, traditional industry, and now you have Microsoft and SCT moving in that space and like changing how people are working. That's super interesting. And actually getting quantitative results, right? Or quantifiable results actually. So you can actually see, okay, we can increase efficiency, we can increase quality, you can actually change something based on data. That's super impressive.
So how does it work then, working with real-time data if you work with Tork EasyCube? Tork EasyCube is a facility management software for data-driven cleaning. We put sensors in buildings where we measure visitor traffic and we measure refill levels in real time. That means that you have data and information about where you need to clean, what you need to bring, and when you need to do it. We translate that and prioritize that into cleaning plans, and where they then come up with the most important tasks that you need to do at a given time, based then on what the situation is in your facility. And that's then for the cleaners that use it. And then for managers, they have an application where they have a 24/7 overview of what's going on in their facility. They know the status of every area, they know what task has been done, and they have data so they can look at patterns over time and optimize their operations. They also have an objective set of data to discuss with their customers, so they actually both prove and demonstrate the job that they've done and how good it is. So actual real data on quality as well. So this is actually then new innovation where you go from product innovation to process innovation.
I think it's a great example where IT is enabling totally new both business models, selling the Tork system as software as a service kind of a system. And the other one is also the business impact that you have verified from talking to your customers and monitoring the effects that these connected services have for your customers. And I think that is really evidence on that you can do better with having a deeper understanding of the data and the algorithm to help your customers achieve even more with the assets that you already have.
Now Charlie will share with us how that development is taking place and the value it gives.
So really a great story, and I think from a Microsoft standpoint we see this happening now in many industries. We particularly see this happening around different service industries, looking at how could we take the Essity product to be more valuable for Essity's customers, to provide also insights around how the products are being used and give the customers data and decision points to make better decisions on how to use their facilities. And for us it's really about a big change now where we see the attention from innovation moving, like Anna said many times, from product into more process. And that means that you need to be as good as you've always been on your product innovation, but you need to add to that also, how do you take that data that you get from your customer and turn that into insights around your product to provide better services for your customer. And that means that you need to change the relationship with your customer. You need to build that trust with your customer, that you actually could get data from their facility to build your digital services. And to be able to build that trust, you need to have a technology platform that could secure data privacy and that could secure the data at rest. And that is where Microsoft come into this, to enable Essity to build these services based on our technology. I think another very important aspect of this is also that the attention are moving from the product focus or production focus more to the outcome focus. And that means that a company like Essity is changing its business models to have more of an outcome-based focus. And if you think about what that really means, it's about Essity moving into helping their customer to get a value from the product instead of just getting a product. And that is giving Essity both the advantage of deeper understanding of its customer, but also providing the possibility for the customer to actually have a tighter relationship with Essity. So you need to get closer to your customers to have the effect of the technology itself. And what we see in most places is that when we start to talk about change, people are really resistant to change, and they feel that, Jesus, are these artificial intelligent robots gonna take our jobs? Are they gonna make us work harder? But what we see in customers like Tetra Pak and also for Essity's customers that have tried this, actually the people that use this new technology, they could work smarter, they could have better decisions. So the stress level is actually decreasing instead of increasing by introducing these new technologies. Because it's not about making people work harder, it's about informing and giving people that are creative creatures do and improve the systems, and thereby providing a higher value with less effort. And that is really what everything around digitalization is about.
And another perspective on this is what Kai Storbacka, who's a professor at the Auckland University in Markets and Development, and he's saying, in the digital age, the value of a solution for a customer is increasingly defined at the time of use. There is a huge opportunity to guide the customer and optimize their experience even after the purchase. So the value doesn't come from buying one thing and getting it to your office and something going from one balance sheet to the other, but it's actually when you start using a new service, you change your operations, and that's when what I call the magic really starts. And it's from what you can do with the data that is going to make the difference. And what we see, it really makes an immense difference when it comes to efficiency, quality, and staff engagement.
Looking at this industry, if you have more data and you have better tools to support you to be efficient in your everyday work, the cleaner could, as you very well put it, work smarter, not harder. And I think this is truly the value for the people that consume and are part of this system, is that the system, if done right, could support them to be more relaxed, less stressed, and have a bigger impact for their customers.
The results of working with data-driven cleaning is that you know that your cleaning resources are optimized, and you have data to support you on that. It's also about being able to prove that you're doing a good job. We hear from a lot of our customers that they end up in a lot of discussions with their customers around, is the quality good enough? Have you done the job? What's this and what's that, etc. What kind of data helps you in those kind of discussions? And we're providing that. What if as well you had a tool to help you reduce staff absenteeism and personnel turnover? You can also use digital tools to invest in your people and also use it to recruit. You use it to train them faster and get people to become part of the team a lot quicker. And last but not least, by having a really high quality, you are able to both meet and exceed your customers' expectations, and that's going to help you in your customer relations going forward with the objective to increase your customer retention, and we know that that's quite low at the moment. In the cleaning industry, we talked about the bread and butter, the cleaning rounds, and those, they are money, of course. When we look at the results from several customers, we now know that you can reduce the number of cleaning rounds you do while still keeping and or increasing the quality you have, and we can measure that quality as well. So we know that we can help our customers to reduce cleaning rounds by, on average, 24%. That's a quarter of your cleaning rounds. And the way you do that is that you reduce the number of dispenser checks. We know that 89% of them are unnecessary, but it's also about having data to know which areas need a cleaning. So there are areas that have been over-cleaned and there are areas that have been under-cleaned. And now you actually even out at the higher level, but you don't have this very big variation. Then you would say, yeah, but cleaning rounds, that's the bread and butter, but our currency, that's ours. Good. So we had to look at that as well and to see how much hours can you save that you can free up, invest in more proper cleaning somewhere else that you don't have time for, the flexibility to deal with problems when they arise, and or maybe even be proactive to deal with them, and then potentially also create new revenue generating. So we see also from several customers that we can provide a saving of at least 20% in cleaning hours from working with data-driven cleaning. That's also about providing new ways of working with your staff, so with the cleaners. And the next question is, okay, yeah, that's all good, but anyone actually, yeah, they can cut cleaning rounds and they can cut hours, etc. But can you really do that and keep quality at a very high or even higher level than before? That I know is a challenge. So we looked at that as well. And what we've done is we also did a visitor satisfaction survey. So we looked at what the users say, because for an end customer, that's of course really important to them if they get complaints or something else. And when we did a survey, quantitative survey with more than 1,000 respondents, looking at two very similar high traffic washrooms, more than 26 cubicles each, we saw, and even though I was not the best in statistics when I went to university, even I can understand that a 30% difference is really statistically significant. So it's a 30% difference in visitor satisfaction with a washroom that's been cleaned with data-driven cleaning compared to one that has been cleaned just with traditional frequency-based cleaning. And last but not least, with the data that we have from 10 customers, we can easily see that when you worked a few months with Tork EasyCube and data-driven cleaning, you can guarantee that you have fully replenished washrooms and dispensers 99% of the time. And that this is a weighted average number. So that is of course even higher eventually. So we have that quality guarantee.
So really impressive for me to come to or learn about a new industry that really is using and embracing data to change the customer experience. And I think this is a great showcase how, done right, you could manage the complexity that both having a deeper understanding for your customer, but also providing a higher customer satisfaction are providing to your systems of service. And this is just the first step. I mean, what we've done here is that we just looked at what we call the descriptive. So the first maturity step on becoming a fully automated and AI-driven service organization. So from taking current data from your customers, linking that to decisions and involving that in when you provide your schedules for the services that basically are providing. And the next step of this journey is really to start to take that knowledge from the people that build these processes. So building the context, the semantics of the dispenser, the washroom, when is it being used? What is the context around this particular area in the building? When do we have people coming into this? Why are they coming at this hour? When you start to build this knowledge around what is the context of the system that you're trying to service, then you could go to what we call predictive, starting to predict into the future when is the service needed and when is the best value of actually doing the service in this context. So documenting the knowledge that people have, bringing the knowledge into the IT system, and thereby making even higher value of the data that you get, because you could integrate it, for example, like you saw in the first movie, when people come into the building, now we need to have more cleaning happening somewhere in the building. And really the highest maturity level that we are seeing a very few customers doing today is what we call the prescriptive. So that is when the IT systems are starting to affect the building, for example. Taking this model and probably closing down, for example, a floor plant, or closing down elevators, because we now understand that, or even washrooms, of course, because we now understand that the demand in this building is not needed, and therefore we could also increase the efficiency of the people that do management on services in this building by having a much smarter system that helps the people work more smarter in the buildings. So it's a maturity journey, going from just extracting data to starting to predict into the future, and then affect even the future based on the data that we gather from the buildings and services. So if you look what this means for the FM worker, today we see the most inner circle being evolved. It's both getting that data from the dispensers, getting that data from the building, but it's also starting to expand into HR processes. How do we help our staff being more informed? How do we increase the morale of the people? And we just see this gonna expand to more and more data sources, even outside the building, understand what is the city around the building. And this is really where Microsoft comes in, where we could work with companies like Essity to provide data from other actors in this Industry 4.0 network of companies into making the best decision for the FM worker when they are doing their job. And that is really what we are trying to achieve together with what we call the world graph, where we provide data from all the different assets that are relevant for the FM worker to make its job as good as possible.
So you can measure data-driven cleaning in several different ways. And one of the most important facts by having more than 100 customers is that you get data, and with you get data, you get new insights. And from these insights, we now know that you can reduce your cleaning rounds by on average 24% while improving quality. You can save, and by freeing up time, you can save 20% cleaning hours. And you can also give a guarantee that you have washrooms replenished and refilled, ready for use 99% of the time.
So if we look at what are really the do's and don'ts of the successful IoT projects, I will start with the don'ts. So I think one of a common mistake that I see when I meet with my customer is that, of course, they reach out to Microsoft because they want to do digitalization, and they start to focus on technology. I think for the first time in history now, technology itself is more mature than the business processes. So I would say that I haven't seen close to any case where technology is really the blocker, for new innovation. It's all about business innovation. It might be that the business case is not positive, but it's today very seldom that technology is stopping the innovation. And if you compare to, for example, late 90s, I would say at that time business models were more mature than technology, and therefore we didn't see this boom of digitalization happen in the late 90s. But today we have connectivity, we have sensors that are at the right price point, and we also have a maturity in the value network to provide these new services. Another thing to keep in mind is not to build your own IT tools. The IT tools today are really mature, and that's why Microsoft have partnered with Essity. We provide the IT infrastructure. The value of building this infrastructure is very low if you compare to actually taking that innovation and building on top of that infrastructure. Focus on business value instead of just enabling technology, because the technology today exists and it's available at a very low price point. And I think another thing to remember is that even though data exists everywhere, the quality of data and the sensors that gather this data is very important as well. We often come to a customer that says that we don't have a data problem, we have so much data. But when we start to look into the algorithms, when we start to look at what could we actually get as a value out of this data, we discover that the quality of the data and the context around the data is too low to make any good predictions. So I think that is also something to keep in mind, that the quality of data is as important as the volume of data. And last but not least, I think also one of the strengths with Essity is really that Essity have a full supply chain and a service organization around their product. And this is a really important thing to even invest more in if you're going to be successful with your digitalization. It's all about changing the focus from the product to that new services model And if you don't have supply chain, you don't have a field organization, either your own or a channel organization, you will not be able to cope with being close and provide quality services for your customers. If we move over to the do's, I think one of the key elements of succeeding with digitalization is to have a senior business sponsorship. And that is really what we have done with Essity as well. So we met with the senior business team at Essity, and we had a business-driven conversation around how Microsoft and Essity should partner on a business level. And from that sponsorship, we have then been able to drive all kinds of change, both on technology, but more on other aspects like the processes, how do we interact with suppliers, how do we interact with our customers. And the other thing is also that it's all about people. So we need to have the right staff and we need to have the right stakeholder alignment. So really important that this is broadly communicated so we don't get the IT project to become a very isolated IoT project in one department. This really have to be a transformation for the full company. And then I would like to highlight also that start small and think big. I think it's very easy to be carried away with all these big ideas around how we could transform the world and we will have AI to clean with new robots and everything. But I think it's very much to understand where we are right now and what is the next step. And then we move into the next step. And from what we have learned here, we will probably discover that certain values are even bigger. Others that we thought should be big are not big at all. So I think it's all about going into this changing from a know-it-all kind of mentality into a learn-it-all mentality. I think that is really the key, and be humble around not knowing all the answers, but be also active and positive of embracing change and trying new things. So to summarize, even though I work at Microsoft, that is a technology company, this change is so much more about the people and the processes and the change management of digitalization.
A huge interest that we got in Tork, EasyCube and data-driven cleaning. We have a lot of visitors to our seminars, a lot of people signing up for our new white paper, and journalists are talking to us and asking about sensor technology and real-time information. That seems to be the talking point at this fair today.
I've got quite different reactions from this, and I think what really summarizes all the responses that I see is that there is a great excitement around doing more around technology, even in the cleaning industry, and I think that is really positive for us at Microsoft as well, to see that this digitalization is really coming to most of the industries, and there is no difference for the cleaning industry.
The cleaning industry is a traditional industry and a people industry, and in this industry 70 to 75% of cleaning companies' costs are people and labor. So what is more important than to invest in this resource and make it more productive? So data-driven cleaning will help people work smarter, not harder, and the value of that is that you can improve operational efficiency, you can increase quality and customer satisfaction, and then of course you invest in your staff and you boost their engagement.